So welcome everyone, readers and listeners, to this, our fifth annual poetry ritual. My name is Michael Favala Goldman. I am a poet and a translator, and I'm the moderator for the reading tonight. We've got 9 authors queued up and ready to entertain and inspire you with their poetry. The poetry ritual is the group reading of a group that I created in 2018, the Poetry Critique Meetup, which was formed in collaboration with the Northampton Center for the Arts and Straw Dog Writers Guild. So Straw Dog is a Western Mass nonprofit that provides workshops, readings, open mics, fellowships, and residency opportunities to readers of all kinds. I'm sorry, to writers of all kinds. So if you're a writer, you should check out Straw Dog Writers Guild. The Northampton Center for the Arts at 33 Hawley Street in Northampton is an arts hub for Western Massachusetts. A beautiful building where artists and people who appreciate art can participate in and attend theater, dance, music, visual art, writing workshops, and hybrid events. The Northampton Center for the Arts is also the home of the Eli Daniel Nemitz Todd Memorial Fund. And this fund financially supports our Poetry Critique Meetup. The Eli Fund was created by his family in memory of Eli, who was a talented young writer from Northampton whose life was cut short by a drug overdose. This fund allows us to keep our costs down and to provide scholarships for any writer unable to contribute financially. So please consider making a donation to the Eli Fund. And to bring Eli into our circle this evening, I'm going to play a 1-minute slideshow about his life. Okay, let's start at the beginning. There we go. So I want to appreciate Eli's family who started this fund in his memory and continues in the work that we do every month with the Poetry Critique Meetup. And as I mentioned, there's a link to making a donation in the chat if you're interested in doing that. So it's been my honor and my great pleasure to direct and moderate the Poetry Critique Meetup, which is now in its 7th year. Our bi-monthly meetings are open to poets of all kinds, and each writer shares their poems, gets feedback from everyone in attendance, following a supportive and constructive format. So everybody leaves with concrete ideas about how to improve their writing, about how to make their poems really shine. Some of the poems you'll hear tonight have been discussed in our group, and the chat is open to everyone. Feel free to write supportive reactions in between the 6-minute readings. If you do it in between, it'll keep the distractions down. And that's all from me. Please, everyone, stay muted until the very end. Each reader will unmute themselves as their turn comes up. So now to our poets. Our first reader is Fungai Tichawangana. Fungai is a top-notch web developer who loves working with creative people to help them shine online. He designed my website, for example, and he is our Zoom tech master this evening too. But Fungai is also a writer, a poet who is inspired by the minutiae of life, and he's working on a collection about love in this age of digital excess. Please welcome Fungai Tichawangana.
Thank you, Michael. The poem I will read tonight is about a different sort of love, different from the love I'm writing about in my collection. It's called Play, and it's based on a true story. Play. The story is told that Jamie was dead, lying motionless in hospital. The only proof of life came in the murmur of his vitals, whispers that even the machines could barely make out. The doctors, at a loss, said, "We've done what we can. This is beyond us now." But Jamie's daughter of 14 said, "My daddy will live," snuck past the nurse's station holding her guitar, the same one he had bought her when she was only just 10. The same one that made him angry when she played it too long. She remembers him shouting, "Put that thing down, Annalise. Do your homework, clean your room. Priorities, my child." In the hospital room, she halts in movement and mind, then pulls up a chair, sits down, guitar in lap, finds a pick in her pocket, stops again, starts crying. Her daddy is too still. What she'd give now for him to be screaming again. Pick meets guitar string, and she plays for the joy of the days when he held her and said she was proud, and said he was proud. She leans to the right and plays for the pain of the days when he took this very guitar away. Said, "I'm giving it to charity. It's taken over your life." Plays for the love that she felt coming home from school to find he had returned it to its stand by her bedside. For the words that had come to her, "Thank you, Daddy, for understanding. This is not a guitar, it is my life. And now may it be yours." All the times that he cheered, "Play, Annalise, play." They echo in her head, too real, too loud. She strums everything she feels into this song. He taught her the lyrics in his stern words and his hugs. She loves him for all of it. How will he ever know now? The story is told that Jamie was dead until at the nurse's station, the lines on the screen started to dance. Say foxtrot, say salsa, say ballet meets hip hop. Play, Annalise, play. This is not a guitar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fungai. That brought a tear to my eye, I must say. I'm probably not the only one. Um, it's a great example of how poetry can tell a story and with such carefully chosen words, elevate a moment of our life to make it memorable and remembered. And uh, thank you for sharing your work with us.
Welcome.
Our next writer is Kate Snider. Kate is a baker living currently in Copenhagen, Denmark. When she is not working with wild yeast, the seemingly invisible microorganisms that populate our air and make the baking of bread possible, she turns to the everyday magic of poetry. Please welcome Kate Snider.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Many of the few poems that I will share tonight have been workshopped in this group kind of recently. So I want to offer gratitude to everyone who has been a part of that process now and over the past years. So thank you. The Old Country. Each weekend with Grandpa was special. Always pancakes piled, sharp cheddar, maple syrup, always plentiful butter in the skillet. Heat on high, he liked the crispy bits best. Said they were good for you. Mom said the same. Burnt pieces have more nutrients, more flavor. An old tale, if you ask me. But Grandma, too, chomped on charred crusts, burnt biscuits, ash flaken fodder. I wonder if all children of exile think this, and how many generations it will take until we forgive ourselves, or must everything we eat taste bitter? A memory which is now mine to safeguard. So let me tell you again, while there is still time together, of that late autumn afternoon when you, standing in the Japanese garden, professed your love for the aging trees quietly steeling themselves for winter, and of the maples and ginkgos we circled, approaching cautiously, as if what little remained of their flaming leaves might burn our bodies. Nostalgia. In Copenhagen, slicing open a sourdough bun. Or this morning, sitting on the kitchen counter, peeling a clementine. Mother, we are hundreds of miles apart, but just moments ago I glanced down at my hands, the fruit they held, and saw not my own freckled skin and painted nails, but your hands, well worn and darker than mine, glistening from a coat of lotion and the gleam of your gold wedding band. Okay. On the eve of my 30th birthday, I live in the country, surrounded by cornfields and cattle. I have adjusted to the symphony of scrapes and shuffles that sound throughout the night. Field mice foraging, cats tussling for territory, the soft, steady snore of generators keeping the dairy running. So when the rumbling began, a punctuated rhythm, more bass heavy than usual, I knew to expect something strange. 30-something cattle, a sea of hide and muscle emerging from darkness beneath a clear midnight moon. Prancing, 2 by 2, with no farmhand in sight. I stood on the front porch, stunned silent, as if witnessing a sacred ritual. I had never seen so many bodies freed from captivity. I remained outside, watching long after the last cow disappeared, until I eventually broke my silence and, in a moment of redemption, howled towards the stars, remembering how I too am a creature who runs. And I will, I think, end there with those 4. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. I love your work. And you remind me how we travel through poetry too. We go to the city, we go to the country, we go to a park, we go to the breakfast table with you. So thank you for bringing us all these places. Our next reader tonight is Burleigh Muten from Amherst, Massachusetts. Burleigh is the author of a verse novel about Emily Dickinson, and it is wonderful. It's lovely to read. It's about Emily Dickinson's playful relationship with the children in her life. Burleigh's poetry has appeared in numerous anthologies and publications. Please welcome Burleigh Muten.
Thank you, Michael. I'd like to read 3 poems tonight. The first 2 were inspired by the works of other poets. This first one is a tribute to the land that I live on, and it was inspired by a poem by Eugene Gloria. One slow, aching note at a time. I asked the bedrock, if she were a woman, what would she sing? A woman on stage or a woman right here beneath the oaks? Would she like to be seen by thousands of people crowded into an amphitheater, honored to have 100 ascending arced rows carved into her great granite side? I ask her as if she were a mountain, and she never blinks or shows displeasure. I ask her how long she sat, round and bald, glittering wet from ice melt, unnoticed. I ask her why she sings only in low octaves, and where time went while she remained unchanged, delicate green moss daring to grow on her wide northern cheek. I ask if she likes being unearthed, she, the determining factor of where my house will be built. She, the humming foundation of my rooms. And she doesn't mind me asking, because as I sweep her face with my broom, I am tearful just looking at her. This one was inspired by a poem by Joy Harjo called An American Sunrise. My ancestor comes. I am running out of breath as I run out to meet myself. I am surfacing at the edge of my ancestors' fury, ready to tug their coattails. It will be easy, I think, to catch hold of the first generation, the ones whose names I know and carry. But how will I find the ones that came before them? This thought is still forming as the fabric in my hand takes hold of my forearm, thrusting me ahead of myself. The coat I am holding grows thick with fiber, its color shifting like dusk, deep blue, mazarine, velvet black, and I'm affixed to a man's long belted topcoat. I am holding the belt, yanking it toward me, when with a start its owner turns. Stop this, he shouts, let me hold you in my arms, lifting me, squeezing me as if I were his lost, completely known child, his own. My breath against his chest, heavy and pumping, draws in the scent of wealth and unwelcome conflict. A religious war is trapped in his lapel. He is a man running himself, running for his life. He kisses the top of my head. We will always be pursued, he says, because we are admired. Be proud. He repeats those two words 4 times, be proud, with a deep, soft, gravelly voice like grandma's. The rumor of our demise is legion, he says. We are Jews. This last one is a memoir piece about being young during the 60s. It was such a great time to be young. It's called Free Love. He's a liar, said the marriage certificate, tucked into the faux silk side pocket in his dilapidated suitcase. But I didn't care. He recited Whitman as he climbed into my bed. He doesn't have a job, said his availability to meet me at all times of the day. So what? He was always there in his velvet jacket, pin straight hair down to his waist. He dropped out of school. He did say that. But he was so smart. He was my first poet. He's got 2 kids, said his wife, who showed up holding their little hands on the porch. He makes me laugh, said my aching ribs, his moonlit thigh next to mine. He doesn't live here, said the young man at the address he had provided. I know him, but he's never lived here. Do you want to come in and get high? Thank you.
Oh, Burleigh, this was so much fun. I was smiling so many times during your reading. And you're reminding me how poetry is such a wonderful medium for making a portrait
Mm.
and being able to speak with objects and people across time and space. So thank you for that message.
Thank you.
Our next poet this evening is John Sieracki. John is a poet and playwright, also living in Amherst, Massachusetts, whose writing has appeared in Copenhagen Lit, Jubilat, the New Ohio Review, and other places. John works at Holyoke Community College and serves as advisor to the O'Rain Arts Residency. Please welcome John Sieracki.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you all for coming. Thank you to all the people I've gotten to know here over the last few years, who have taken so much care with mine and with each other's poems. It's really nice to hear the latest versions, maybe the final versions of so many of these wonderful poems that we've heard over the years in the workshops. So I'm going to read 2 poems. They both they're at the top of my inbox because they were accepted at the New Ohio Review, and they were both workshopped here probably about a year ago. And yeah, check out the New Ohio Review website. I guess this issue that they'll be in will be up soon, imminently. The 2 poems, one is about a mouse, first one, and the second one is about an ant, a couple of classic characters. So here we go. My pet mouse. One of the cats was playing with a mouse in the field. Out of competition, more than pity, I caught the mouse, got it a shoebox, and named it George. He could fit so cozily in my pocket if only he wanted. What a life. Stuck in a box by a 10-year-old who's like, what do I do now? I brought the box into the house and reached in to pet George. He leaped out and disappeared into my dad's old burgundy reclining chair. Just like that, I was playing with people's lives. The innards of a 1970s reclining chair has hiding places, like the concrete community college I work in today. Able to envision entire worlds within such frameworks, including how a scissor extender footrest could snap a mouse's neck. I grew up to become a dean. What if George had grown up to become the annoying math faculty member who was now trying to get out of work he signed up for? Through a flap in the chair, I can see George schmoozing with donors, George telling the campus gathered for professional day about how our primary role is to transfer knowledge to students, George grinning at me at the faculty meeting as a colleague bemoans how badly George is treated. I did get George out of the chair, and I tried to pet him again. He bit me on the finger. My mom drove me and George out of the wilderness to a clinic that killed George to examine his brain for rabies, saving me from shots in the stomach, which saved the college some funding. And the next one is called Walking to Work. This is the ant one. Walking to work. I see an ant with both eyes closed in spring mist. One of those really tiny ones with a name like Formica miniatura that you never think of as thinking much. The sighting is lucky, considering the difference in size of our eyes, the scope of our perception. He must have made a sound, just loud enough for me to hear subconsciously, to register somewhere as odd, to make me look down. He's sitting in a lounge chair, ant style, sniffing a snifter so small I can't smell it. His legs are spread, and he has a towel covering his post-petiole. What's going on here? I blush as I realize he had catcalled me. In an instinctive adrenaline rush, the winking emoji comes to mind, and I wink at him. He raises his glass and comments about the concept of the wink, how it represents a gate in a psychological stone wall. He says his name is Sergio. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Really a lot of smiles and some laughs from that. You are such a surprising writer. Telling these stories, there's a lot of magic. I and congratulations on the publication too. A lot of other people are going to read this poem and really be entertained as well. Right. So our next reader is Sarah Kiepper. Sarah lives with her partner and dogs on the Massachusetts South Coast, where she is a compliance officer and a doctoral student. Sarah participates in garden clubs, writing groups, and researches genealogy. Her writing's been published in Acros, Review, Jenny Magazine, other places. Please welcome Sarah Kiepper.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Glad to be here. And I echo the gratitude of this group. I have refined and revised many things, and I'll share a couple of those tonight. New cars and DQ. It was 4.4 miles from our home to Dairy Queen, where we went each time Dad bought a new vehicle, which fortunately for my brother and me was often. Dad flipped automobiles in his buddy Eddie's garage, and then they sold them from the end of our split gravel drive. Daddy taught us how to drive young because he needed our help while towing and moving vehicles back to the garage. From the passenger seat, my brother would yell, "Clutch!" and I would stomp my left foot while he shifted with his left hand, and then I would lift my left foot slowly and then punch the gas pedal with my right foot, and we were off. Dad and Eddie would divide the profits, then Dad would drag, tow, or push the next one home. When it was drivable, we headed to DQ. A vanilla cone dipped in butterscotch was sure to drip onto a clean back seat and stick to window cranks. I watched as toffee-colored chunks slid down my arm toward shiny floor mats. 2 decades later, Dad had to move into an apartment. There was no garage to fix cars, but there was a DQ brazier a short walk away, and we went often when I visited. I evolved to peanut butter parfaits and picking up the tab. Institutionalized. I work weekend nights in a youth behavioral health unit. The on-duty nurse often sleeps through her overtime shift. She's saving money to take her family to Disney. I'm working a 3rd job to pay my bills. Mandated rounds are every 15 minutes. The ward is quiet due to sleep-drugged children. I follow the tiled hallway, pausing at each door to shine my flashlight through shatterproof windows over small blanketed figures to ensure everyone is still breathing. These surveilling tasks are not dissimilar to duties assigned to me as a corrections officer at a supermax prison earlier in my career. Priority is ensuring everyone lives through the night. Earlier, I therapeutically held an 8-year-old for 3 hours before he was put on suicide watch. Then I settled in to visually observe him for the rest of my shift. This was my 3rd attempt professionally at keeping someone else alive by staring at them. Papaver somniferum, or poppies. Poppies symbolize remembrance of wars fought and lives lost, lest we forget the blood spilled to free us. They grew from dark green stalks next to the cool sandstone of our home's foundation, explosions of orange and red silk. Their dark centers spoke to their history of destroying generations due to their opiate power. We were not allowed to pick them due to the fragility of their petals, so they remained rooted in the clay-filled dirt of our yard. They would dance in the breeze, sometimes partnering with tiger lilies, creating a bright contrast against tan basement walls. My new niece has poppy-colored hair, an homage perhaps to the flowers of her aunt's childhood. She displays her strength using both voice and beauty, blue eyes laughing as she learns to root herself in this world. She dances, fills our hearts with her perfume, and heals us through her spirit as we remember the wars within our family and the lost lives. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. You're reminding me how it's the job of the artist to pay attention and to show or tell what you saw, show what you experienced, so that we don't fall asleep in our own lives. Thank you. Our next reader is Linda Jo Reinhard. Linda Jo writes daily musings from her home in Portland, Oregon. She delights in learning languages. She gardens with wildlife in mind, and she tends a flock of blueberry bushes, much coveted by birds and small children in her neighborhood. Please welcome Linda Jo Reinhard. Are you unmuted yet? There you go.
Sorry, forgot to hide my phone somewhere. There it is. Hello, and thank you, Michael. Last winter, I traveled to Spain with two of my children. This poem was written after viewing Picasso's Guernica at the Reina Sofia National Art Museum in Madrid. Out in the open, in black, white, and gray, not a drop of red, Picasso renders 8 figures. There is no need for blood. The broken sword, the screaming tongues, the terrified horse show all that is needed. After you see it, no curtain can cover the fallen man, the bellowing bull, the stricken woman, the dead child. This next poem is about domestic travel. Thank you for getting us home safely. You provide the mental stimulation I need to keep the car moving between white lines on the rainy highway after dark, while sleep lurks on every straightaway, behind every tall truck, in eyelids, fingers, feet. You don't have a license, but you know how to drive a conversation. And now I have 3 poems about interactions with wildlife. Wild night in the city. A howl or a call of distress. I listen at the open window. The jarring sound wakens even my hard of hearing husband. He joins me and we peer into artificially lit urban night. We see no humans. We wait. Soon the sure-footed trot of a coyote graces our sidewalk. I am relieved there is no need for intervention, and watch with interest. She pauses for a moment at our blueberry hedge, then picks up her stride. Without missing a step, she points her nose to the right, where high in an oak, a family of squirrels nestles restlessly. But this is not the hunt that drives her. Tonight, she seeks her own kind. Red oak domination. Acorn concealed in clay slope by squirrel for future feast takes root too close to home. For a half-dozen circles around the sun, the oak evades eviction, its roots secure before branches flag attention. Chainsaw crew severs the poorly placed sapling. Traces of sawdust outline the deed. Branches and stem are fed into a noisy gas-powered shredder hitched to their truck and chopped into chips. They say she will renew repeatedly, leave the roots to hold the hillside, and every year cut the trunk to a stump. Wildlife, or survival of the fittest. On Tuesday, I learned 3 lessons about wild animals. Hot pepper oil dispensed at 80 miles per hour will repel an angry, charging bear. I don't like my food spicy either. If a bobcat is chasing you, take off your clothes and leave them behind. The bobcat will stop and tear them up. I wouldn't stop running to get undressed. Maybe it's better to keep your pants on. Bear spray in the hands of a desperate man is a dangerous thing if you get between him and the shirts he is trying to steal. Perhaps he recently escaped from a bobcat. This winter, I had 2 poems accepted to the online journal Word Piece for their upcoming climate change issue. It should be out soon. I encourage you to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda Jo. Such a pleasure to see what you see and hear what you hear. Thanks for sharing your experiences through your poetry. All right. Moving on, our next author, writer, Anne Van Dyke. Anne currently resides in Montague, Massachusetts, but she dreams of a home in the French countryside. Now that Anne has retired from psychiatry, she is reviving her high school French, attempting to master the cello and training for her next road race while playing with words, images, and ideas in her poetry. Please welcome Anne Van Dyke.
Thank you. Kind of in the spirit of the group, I'm going to read some fresh stuff. I have 2 poems. One is I would call topical, the other one more personal. So I'll lead off with the topical one. It's titled City of Falling Angels. LA in flames, lighting up our pixelated screens, the sky dissolves in red. Another 1,000 homes burning. We scroll to Hollywood stars weeping over piles of ash. No safety in cold cash. Each has their ticket punched for the The winds blow across a desiccated town. We know any random cinder can set the woods ablaze. All that brittle grass, it's been drying by degrees. Tinder for this inferno, it consumes our trees. We turn aside from the flicker, our retinas at rest. We dream of green forests, mossy rocks, pliant streams, cool breezes. We yearn to touch them, to return. That path is closed. The gate is barred to Eden for us all. Even for we who love creation, scent and sound, it can't be found. An angel with a flaming sword still stands tall. Okay, moving in a different vein. Summoning a cello master. I seek to channel yo-yo. Nothing else exists beyond this place. The known universe has shrunk to a lesson space. As if before the Big Bang, there was this singularity. Encore, encore, a student, a teacher, a curvaceous box of wood, a stick in hand, made to make waves, ripples of sound. Some crest, some recede, some collide with other waves and fade. Each note made is a coppery coin dropped in a silvery pond. We watch from the shore. This is a world that needs no God to justify its being. Invoking a godlike prodigy, my prayer ascends like incense burning. To a different hymn I pray. Give me with beauty undeserved. Please, Yo-Yo Ma, help me today. That's my offering for this ritual. Okay. You look deep in thought there, Michael.
I thought you had one more. I wanted more. I wanted more, Anne, but I guess that's
sorry. Next time.
Always leave them wanting more. That's what I've heard. But I really appreciated the music of your poetry, not just the subject, but also the musicality of your rhyming. And also this one line, no safety in cold cash. It's a good one. Thanks for sharing your writing tonight. All right, our next writer is David Wheeler. David is a poet and a journalist based in Clarksburg, Maryland. His poetry often feeds off of his traveling and his journalistic endeavors. Please welcome David Wheeler.
Thanks, Michael. I have 3 poems for you tonight. They're a mix of new and old. The first one is called Becoming a Million Miler. Becoming a million miler has made me highly skilled at choosing between chicken and pasta, water and red wine, signaling my sympathy to flight attendants and my disdain for people who don't know how to behave on airplanes. I've been a sucker for the corporate exploitation of the desire to have my loyalty rewarded. But I'd like to think there is something sweet in that, like faithful spouses who stick it out despite a track record of missed connections and late arrivals. My airplane life has had 4 phases. First came the wonder of looking down on clouds from the viewpoint of the sun. Then the blasé feeling the cabin was home, with overhead closets, room service, bad food, and too many people sharing tiny bathrooms. Midlife planes made me anxious. My heart raced at airport gates. I stashed tranquilizers before boarding. I wanted to pace the aisles even when the seatbelt sign was on. To best describe the 4th stage, I want to stir wonder and comfort into one word. I fly freely now, even when I'm on the ground. I'm a foot above life, holding a magnifying glass, being introduced, for example, to a member of the sunflower family I haven't met before. I sit in life as if it's a custom-made easy chair, savor my friends like a sommelier, sampling legendary vintages. And then there's my wife of 25 years. is there a loyalty program for marriage? She and I will soon be granted lifelong premier status. Holding hands in the moonlight romance didn't get us here. Loyalty is funny that way. Just hang in there. Buy the ticket. Put in the seat time. My second poem is called Signs That Point the Way. Walking to the back of a Bangkok jazz bar, I discovered its bathrooms were labeled gentles and ladies. I veered to the left into gentles. After leaving, I could not stop thinking about a world filled with gentles and ladies. Men everywhere seem to lean into anger and violence, but I wonder if they could dial that back. Let me be clear, I am not on a luxury cruise through utopia, but this country is known as the land of 1,000 smiles. And it's easier here to imagine a new default face, a place where loud voices mean closed doors, requests ignored, where soft, polite voices and jai yen, cool heart, persuade people to give you what you want. Imagine a world where gentlemen, ladies, ladyboys, and any other gendered or genderless person could find some still, wide open spaces where there is room to love whoever they want and no attitudes, signs, or laws to stop them. And my last poem is called Praise Song. Thank you to my eyes for interpreting the light reflected from mountaintop pines sagging with snow. Thank you to my ears for bringing to my brain those moments when saxophones squeal with joy and the singers let their jubilation ride up on high notes. Thanks to my nose for bringing me the smells of brewing coffee, baking bread, simmering stews. Thanks to my tongue for taking the air blown up from my chest, sculpting it into speech, and savoring all the flavors that my nose predicts. Thank you to my hands for helping me comfort others, moving food to my mouth, for building, fixing, painting, typing, pointing, speaking in the elegant language of gesture. Thanks to my feet, ankles, knees, legs, and hips for propelling me from dawn to dusk and into the night, weaving through city streets, commutes to the office, helping me explore forest trails, bicycle paths, dance floors, ice skating rinks, ski slopes. Thank you to my heart, which deserves a handwritten note on parchment, expressing deep appreciation for a lifetime of pumping blood, even when the rest of me sleeps. I'm thankful for my lungs, which sing a nonstop duet with my heart, pulling oxygen into my blood, lighting the bulb of my brain. Thank you to my whole body, this gift of consciousness sealed in skin. I'm thankful for readers, listeners, family, and friends. Time for silence now, so I can listen to them.
What wonderful work, David. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm a sucker for humor and understated humor that is wrapped in truth. Um, Thank you so much for the loyalty program, um, and the gentles, and yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we are coming up on our final reader of this poetry ritual, and it will be Eileen Gloster. Eileen is a native of North Adams, Massachusetts, out in the corner, northwest corner of Massachusetts. Eileen retired from teaching last month and has so far been quite consistent with her writing schedule, and she hopes that sticks. Eileen sends her deepest appreciation to teachers everywhere. Please welcome Eileen Gloster.
Hi, I'm going to read 4 poems tonight, 3 of which I'll connect a little or about my mom a little bit in our relationship. The last of those 3 is a villanelle, so there'll be a lot of rhyming and repeated lines. The first poem I wrote yesterday, I kind of had a change of thought because I'm sorry, just what's happening in the world. I felt I needed to write something. So I don't think I stuck the landing, Michael, but I wanted to end on a happier note than maybe where the landing belongs. So this is also my title is Poetry Ritual Fight Song. Also perhaps not what it should be, but there you have it. So hopefully I can read my notes. All right. Poetry Ritual Fight Song. If you want to march, to stand shoulder to shoulder with strangers who share your fears and dreams, then march. Do not concern yourself with the value of each tiny step or whether it is mere performance. Do firefighters with a mountain burning give up, afraid that they won't save the house, the family? No, they fight. If you want to write a letter or a poem, to send your passionate or measured voice into the world, hoping that one line may move another into action, then write. Do not worry about all the words already written or wonder who will hear yours. Does a teacher who spends years trying to light sparks know if they've reached a student's heart? No, but still they teach. If you, like me, guess you'll probably be okay, too old to fear climate's coming fury, white enough to be part of the tribe that sees every other color as threat, straight enough to hold hands anywhere in public, maybe get a smile, lucky enough to have been born here, I may be tempted to sit this one out, this fire too big, but who then will we be? Who will I be safely drinking tea in my little home in these cool mountains while people with power, greedy for everything, use the dark pull of fear and greed, the name of patriotism, godliness, family, to convince Americans that they must protect this country from, well, itself. So instead, I will write, stand, march with you and you and you, shoulder to shoulder, until we bend this nation, eventually, relentlessly, finally, toward justice. And then I think I have time for 3 poems on my mom. Shucking peas. My small nail-bitten fingers find the string, pull, and the pod splits, reveals 3 bright spring tears. I ate far more than I dropped into the old blue bowl, but you never seemed to mind, bustling about the kitchen, red checked dish towel snapped over your shoulder, cigarette loose between your lips. Your busy hands tapping ash, washing pans, sweeping away dust too small to see, resting now and again on mine. And the second one, Solve for the Unknown. I have an earache and Mom can't fix it. She's on the couch, I'm on her lap, cradled in softness, an open book on my knees. She's reading my favorite, funny Miss Twiggly, who lived in that tree with her dog and some bears and did just as she pleased. But everything hurts. I don't want to listen. I don't want to move. 2. I refuse the notion of loss. Nothing created, nothing destroyed, the value unchanged when I reduce the fraction or restore order gently held in parentheses. Everything a search for the constant, water under ice. 3. In the home, my mother slumps in her chair, her eyes shut, chin touching her chest. A woman in the next room moans. Keep reading, I ask. She says, And what were you thinking, Colleen? I read in my best Irish brogue, chasing a fell like that. I hear my mother chuckle. Maybe she does know who I am. And then my final poem is Visiting Hours. And again, thank you everybody who was here. I feel funny reading the last poem, but here we go. Visiting Hours. Cherish the spark that keeps us who we are. For time and breath remake us every day. Love, like gravity, renders dust a star. A man dims his flame in a lonely bar. Fate hides it from the wordless child. Do they cherish the spark that keeps us who we are? 5 billion years ago, a swirling solar cloud condensed to sun, seas, and clay. Love, like gravity, renders dust a star. Years ago, my birth, your tender scar, my life, your gift, a love I can't repay. Cherish the spark that keeps us who we are. Put your embers cool, I stir the char, blow gentle on that light, and pray love, like gravity, renders dust a star. Now, mother, you have drifted far from me. Your memories fade, betray the spark that keeps us who we are. O love, like gravity, render dust a star.
Well, thank you, Eileen. That was actually some really great lines to finish on. Cherish the spark that makes us who we are, or something to that effect. Maybe I didn't get it quite exactly right, but just that. I mean, isn't that what we're doing today? You know, through poems of gratitude and observation and encouragement and nostalgia. It's all about being present in our lives. So thank you for offering that. And this has been a very full evening. What lovely, lovely readings. I I want to send my gratitude to all the writers who put their time and energy into preparing their art for tonight so we could benefit from it. Thank you to the audience who came and stayed and listened to share in the fruits of our cherished writing community. I want to thank again Straw Dog Writers and the Center for the Arts. If I could ask everyone to unmute themselves and just give a quick round of applause to this fabulous group of writers. Please unmute yourselves and let's hear it.
Yay!
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I have been your host, Michael Favala Goldman. I wish you much peace and inspiration in the year ahead. So long and take good care.
Thank you.